Strange things happen all over the world nearly every single day, but for some places, those strange things are what define them. The Bermuda Triangle and Skinwalker Ranch are just two such places where bizarre and unexplainable circumstances are the most noteworthy traits of these famous destinations. The Bermuda Triangle is responsible for the disappearance of dozens of airplanes and ships, while Skinwalker Ranch has been the site of many paranormal and extraterrestrial events and sightings. So why have dozens of airplanes, ships, and people gone missing in the area known as the Bermuda Triangle? Are there really aliens, ghosts, or skinwalkers hiding out at Skinwalker Ranch? And what other strange places with unexplainable circumstances should you avoid if you want to live a nice normal life? In today's episode, we're going to discuss these places, give you our opinions on what we think they might be, and finally, see what experts have to say about these occurrences. So get cozy, pour yourself a drink, and join us for this extremely bizarre and extra crazy episode of Tippler's 2 Cents. You know where else is a strange place?
Where's that?
Narnia.
Narnia? What's Narnia?
Narn your damn business! Ha ha! Got him. Everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Tippler's 2 Cents. I'm your host, Chris Walters, and joining me, as always, is Sean Knox.
Professional wrestler with cats. That's the best one I can come up with today.
What the hell does that even mean?
Just walk into my house, you just hear...
What are you doing, Sean?
Buddy?
I'm doing my profession.
I have a really specific niche, OnlyFans.
Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us for episode 13. If you're a new listener, welcome to the show. Unfortunately, you're stopping in on an episode where we have to announce a slight change to the way that the show is going to go going forward. So me and Sean have recently decided that as of this episode, this is going to be the last one that comes out on a weekly basis. So going forward, episodes are going to be releasing every 2 weeks instead of every week. And I know this is going to be a little bit of adjustment for anybody that keeps up with the show. We're sorry for that, but it's just due to, time constraints. Neither me nor Sean have the time and energy, to be frank, to keep up with the schedule of doing it every single week. It just takes a lot, and we're both working full-time jobs. We both have kids to raise, and just stuff outside of that, outside of work and outside of the show that we're just trying to take care of. And I think just trying to do it every single week was a little bit ambitious for us to be, thinking we could keep going at that pace. So yeah. Anyway, that's all that's really going to change for right now is just, we're going to be pushing episodes out every 2 weeks instead of every week. And some of the episodes might change because of that, like some of the subjects that we had planned on doing might change. But yeah, guys, sorry about that again, but we just, for the betterment of the show, we got to do it that way. But anyway, let's go ahead and get on with the episode. So today I'm going to be drinking, I got 2 drinks here. I have one called Tropical Torpedo by Sierra Nevada. It's an IPA. And then I have another, I don't know if it's an IPA, it might be a seasonal one. It's called Hell or High Watermelon, which doesn't look particularly fantastic because it's super weak. But anyway, I'm going to start off with a Tropical Torpedo. So what are you drinking, Sean?
I'm just drinking good old classic Budweiser and Dr. Thunder because I have a vagina and I'm broke.
Well, that's all right. Anyway, let's go ahead and crack these bad boys open. And I had a toast prepared for this one, but I ended up changing because I was supposed to be getting a new car, and I've been trying to get a new car for like past 3 weeks. And I don't know why it's such a difficult thing to get this new car, but now they moved it till next Wednesday. So hopefully I get that car. I also have a job interview lined up for a much better job than the one I'm working at now. So cheers to me in case I do get that job. Of course, I'll update everybody if I do.
I have a part 2 to that toast as well.
Okay.
Because I had a run-in. I got held up at my job.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I got held up at gunpoint on Monday. And, you know, it was a pleasant experience. I don't know what everyone's complaining about, honestly. Yeah, obviously I'm joking. It fucking sucks shit. And it gave me a little bit of a little extra clarity. I'm already pretty analytical about life and all that good stuff. But, like, it just makes me a little bit extra happy to be alive. And also, I don't know. It's a weird experience that I'm still kind of dealing with, especially since it was so recent. But the toast by itself is just, I'm happy that I'm still here with you guys. So,
Yeah. Yep, we're sorry to hear that you went through that, man. But cheers to being alive and getting through it.
yeah. Cheers.
All right. Oh, I spilled a little on me. Yeah.
Wow, I'm actually surprised that Budweiser tastes good.
Yeah, this one's not bad. It's a little warm now, but whatever. All right. Anyway, guys. So we're talking about the Bermuda Triangle and Skinwalker Ranch, plus some other places that we might be able to fit in this episode. But the first topic we're talking about is the Bermuda Triangle. So let's go ahead and get right in there. So what is the Bermuda Triangle? Where is it, and why is it famous? Well, the Bermuda Triangle, which is also known as the Devil's Triangle or Hurricane Alley, is a mythical section of the North Atlantic Ocean roughly bounded by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, hence the triangle. Because if you look at a map, you can see Miami is kind of up in the like northwestern region, with Bermuda to the northeast, and then Puerto Rico down south, like a little towards the west. The reason Bermuda Triangle is so famous, though, is because it's known for a lot of disappearances, which include ships, airplanes, and people. Bermuda Triangle also covers about 500,000 square miles of ocean, so it's pretty big. And some interesting stuff here about it is when Christopher Columbus sailed through the area on his first voyage to the New World, he reported that a great flame of fire crashed into the sea one night, and that a strange light appeared in the distance a few weeks later. Obviously, this great flame of fire falling from the sky was more than likely a meteor. But, you know, back then, I don't think meteors were that common knowledge, so probably it was just like, what the fuck is that?
Dude, I would have lost. I mean, even fucking today, you see a meteor come out of the sky, you'd be like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Even today, like, yeah, if you saw a meteor, you'd probably shit your pants. But at least today, if you saw a meteor, for the most part, unless you're a crazy person, you should know what it is.
Yeah. I'm so happy to just be in the now. Dude, if I was in the medieval ages, I would totally be one of those people that's like, this woman knows math? What the fuck?
Burn the witch! She knows what 2 + 2 is. Anyway, Christopher Columbus also wrote about erratic compass readings, perhaps because at the time, a sliver of the Bermuda Triangle was one of the few places on Earth where true north and magnetic north lined up. So if you know anything about the way the magnetism of the north and stuff like that line up, it fucks with anything that has metal and stuff like that. And obviously, their compasses had metal in them, so it would make their compasses that crazy. And like we were saying, back then, obviously, if stuff like that happens, it's easy to contribute it to like paranormal stuff or anything like that.
Don't we still have metal in our compasses? Because it goes off the magnetic polarity of the Earth. Yeah,
and that's the whole thing about a compass, too. The reason it points north is because of like the magnetism of, I think it's from the magnetism of like, the north magnetism shit. A lot of stuff goes into that, but...
How many times can you say magnetism?
Yeah. But yeah, actually, I mean, an interesting little fact, too, is you can make, like... people have probably heard of this, too, but you can make a compass when you're in the wilderness by taking a leaf and some water and then taking something like a paper clip. And I think it might be a quarter, too. I think you might have to have a quarter or something. But you put it on... what? Go ahead.
Oh, I think I did it in like science class with I think it was a paper clip and like a folded up like origami boat kind of shit, and like another piece of metal. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I said I think it's a quarter too. But you just basically you take the leaf or whatever it is, fill it with water, put the quarter in there, and then put the paper clip on top of the quarter, and it should spin and show you where north is. Now I haven't tried that, but I mean, that's what experts and shit say. So. Also, going back in time, talking about the Bermuda Triangle, Mr. William Shakespeare, his play, The Tempest, some scholars claimed that this was based on a real-life Bermuda shipwreck, which, can also enhance the area's aura of mystery. A lot of people just attribute this, though, with all these crazy things. They attribute it to mysterious forces, and like all the unexplained disappearances on things like extraterrestrials capturing humans for study. For some reason, the influence of the lost continent Atlantis, and then vortices. Is that how you say that word? Vortices?
Just vortexes.
Vortexes.
Fuck it.
That suck objects into other dimensions. So basically, just wormholes and the time-space continuum sucking people away. Which, I mean, like we were talking about in the time traveling thing, not necessarily saying it's not a real, like it is a real thing, but not, who knows if it's possible or not. That's the whole, going back to the kind of temporal displacement thing, like just random time jumping shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so for the Bermuda Triangle, we have a couple of stories that I came across that we're going to read verbatim for how they were written. And then we'll just kind of discuss like our opinions on them and everything. Like I said, I didn't write these ones, so we're going to be reading it exactly how it's written. And these stories come from marineinsight.com. I just want to go ahead and give them credit for these stories so that way they don't think we're trying to rip them off.
Man, I read that totally wrong. I was going to say Marinel site.
It's marineinsight.com.
Marinel site.
But okay, the first one is Carol A. Deering, a 5-masted commercial schooner, which is a ship, is one of the most written about maritime mysteries of the 20th century due to the complete mystery around its abandonment. On January 31st, 1921, Carol A. Deering was found hard aground on the treacherous rocks of Hatteras Diamond Shoals, North Carolina. There were speculations that the vessel was involved in rum running, the alcohol. However, when the investigation team from Barbados reached the vessel after days of effort in the rough sea, what they found was a deserted ship with all crew members missing along the crew's personal belongings, ship navigational equipment, logbooks, and life rafts, among others. Often known as Ghost Ship of the Outer Banks, the disappearance of Carol A. Deering, along with few other vessels during the time period during the same time period in the Bermuda Triangle area, has been valuable information on the mysterious waters, but nothing could bring anyone closer to solving this mystery. Reports suggest that as many as 9 vessels disappeared during this period from the same region, none of which was ever heard from again. So they don't know why this went missing, but once they said it was involved with like rum running and stuff like that, kind of makes me think that somebody might have just hijacked them and it sank,
Yeah, that's a very piratable kind of, what the fuck is it? Cargo, valuable cargo, especially if they're, because that same story that I was looking up, they use the same, all those ships use the same route. So if each and every ship used the same route, then pirates probably eventually just started fucking figuring out that route and started going after them.
And this, this is a story from 1921, so their technology for trying to find missing people, basically any sort of crime in 1921, it was pretty hard pressed to get hard evidence unless you saw the person doing it, basically. Like, that's how so many murders were gotten away with back then, is because they didn't have the technology to prove anybody did it if somebody wasn't standing there going, I saw the man do it, he shot him from across the street.
Walk into the scene, just fucking... Oh, where was he stabbed? Well, right in his chest, 34 times. Anybody see who do it? No? Well, fuck. All right, well, let's go back to the station and drink some coffee.
Well, bury the man. We'll move on to the next ones. We'll get him next time. But
Anyway,
yeah,
so-
I don't believe that one to be like extraterrestrial or paranormal. I think it's just people, getting pirated and they disappeared, and like we said, 1921 technology sucked ass, so they couldn't really figure out what happened to them. That's about it.
Oh, dude, I didn't know I can do that voice.
Nice little vaudevillian.
Anyway, so another story is the disappearance of the USS Cyclops, which is one of the Navy's biggest fuel ships. That one marked the largest loss of life in the history of the U.S. Navy in a single fucking incident. In March 1918, this massive ship set out to sail from Brazil to Baltimore through the Bermuda region, carrying 10,800 tons of manganese ore with about 309 crew members on board. Setting off on a fairly good day, the first and the only message sent by this ship, Jesus fucking Christ, why can't I say ship, indicated no sort of troubles. However, the ship was never heard from again. An entire search of the area was put into action, but nothing was ever found, and no remains of the ship or any crew members aboard have ever been found. The captain of the USS Cyclops never sent a distress signal, and no one aboard responded to radio calls from other vessels in the vicinity. The naval investigators also failed to find a definite cause for its disappearance, though there were a number of theories suggesting various reasons. Due to its mysterious disappearance, Cyclops has become part of the list of more than 100 ships and planes to have crashed or vanished under strange circumstances in the Bermuda Triangle. Sorry, I default say crashed. I don't know fucking why. But that one's really interesting because that one has like a lot more budget behind, like we have to find the ship because it's government property and all that good shit. And when was it? 1918? I mean, it was a while ago, but, a Navy fuel ship, that's not an easy loss for the U.S. government, even back then. So it's one of those things that's like, I guess you can just write it off as the time it happened, 1918 being the year. But outside of that, it's a little odd. But keep in mind, it's also 500,000 square miles of fucking sea, and that's it's not like anybody had insane technology like Chris said before. So another one that I'm just not really 100% convinced that there's anything special about the Bermuda Triangle. But
going back to the magnetism thing, if you keep that in mind, like we were saying, that throws off compasses, it can throw off all sorts of stuff, anything that has to do with metal. So, like, especially back then, their stuff was a little more primitive and relied a lot more on, like, hard, like, machinery-based technology, which has to do with a lot of metal. And these guys were carrying 10,800 tons of manganese ore, plus they're in a ship that's just made out of metal. So, if they sailed towards a part that threw off, the magnetism and stuff, I think that might account for, like, a lot of shit going wrong with these guys. Now, I'm no scientist, so I don't know if I'm, hitting any sort of mark there.
So you think it just fucked up their navigational equipment, essentially?
Yeah, because, I mean, like, I don't know what the magnetism is for manganese ore, but, they have a ship full of, nearly 11,000 tons of ore. And then, like I said, they're sailing around in a boat entirely made of metal. All their navigational equipment is going to be based off of a lot of metal, components working together to make that stuff happen. And you're sailing through an area where it's known for fucking up things with its magnetism. So it's like, okay, well, their disappearance doesn't seem that crazy. And then again, it's 1918. When something disappears, they don't have a lot to go off of unless they have hard physical evidence.
Well, at the time, I mean, they probably didn't know about the magnetic fucking fuckery that was going on in the area. It's hindsight's 2020. So now, we can essentially be like, oh, that's probably why. But back then, they're like, hey, so there's supposed to be an island here, Captain, and there's just a lot more sea.
There's just fucking water, dude.
Anyway.
So yeah, next story here. This one says, possibly one of the most mysterious stories of shipwrecks. This ship is a tale of its own. Despite being found adrift in some other location in the Atlantic Ocean, the connection to the Bermuda Triangle had been somehow invoked to find an answer to the mystery of its fate. Discovered on December 4th, 1872, so even further back, with everything right in the place except for the entire crew. The ship was found stranded on the seas days after it started its journey from New York to Genoa, Italy. There were 7 crew members along with Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife, and their 2-year-old daughter aboard the vessel, which was loaded with raw alcohol, so another rum-running ship. But days after, when a passing British ship called Di Gratia found Mary Celeste under partial sail in the Atlantic, off the Azores Islands, the ship was unmanned with no crew aboard, and the lifeboat was also missing. It was also found that 9 of the barrels in the cargo were empty, and there was a sword on the deck. So again, it had to be pirates.
Yeah.
No trace of the people aboard the vessel or the missing lifeboat has ever been found. Studies of the ship clearly rule out the possibility of a pirate attack, which I find horseshit, since everything on the ship, including the barrels of alcohol it was transporting and the valuable belongings of the crew, were intact. Theories surrounding the mystery of the Mary Celeste also included the chances of a criminal conspiracy, alien abduction, and even an attack by a giant squid. The possibility of a natural disaster was also on the list. Many suggested the role of an undersea earthquake behind the accident, while a few proposed an accidental foraying of the vessel into the Bermuda Triangle. So I don't think they were supposed to sail into the Bermuda Triangle, but they did somehow. However, as much as these speculations seem reasonable, they clearly don't fit. After all, why would a perfectly skilled crew on a good weather day, with their ship entirely uncompromised, abandon it and then never surface again?
Okay, so I know that this one, like, I changed mine a little bit, but all these stories are basically for verbatim for Marinel. But I mean, like, that one kind of bugs me just because it's leaning more towards the conspiracy side of things, and not shitting on the Bermuda Triangle. Like, it is fucking mysterious that so many ships pretty recently have disappeared. And but this one, like, they're even saying that a fucking, like, giant squid attack happened. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, like, what? What are you talking about? No, and this article also seemed to contradict itself a little, too. Because it said that the barrels of alcohol were emptied, and then there was a sword on the ship, or on the deck of the ship, and then it goes later, like just a few seconds later, to say that everything was still the way it was, and that they didn't think it was a pirate attack. Like, what are you talking about? You just said there was a sword on the ship and all the alcohol was gone, plus the lifeboat was gone. Like, kind of sounds like pirates came, probably walked all the people off the edge of the ship, took the lifeboat, and got out of there.
Yeah, so, like, they could have just done a night raid where they just fucking, like, slowly woke people up and were like, hey, get out of bed or we're gonna fucking murk you. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be some large-scale attack, you know. They probably, like, in most cases, if you're assaulting a ship, you're gonna want to do it when they're at their most vulnerable, which is when they're sleeping, so.
Yeah. So, anyway, it is an unnerving triangle mystery associated with the American White Oak schooner, Ellen Austin. In 1881, the 210-foot-long Ellen Austin was on her way to New York from London when she stumbled upon a derelict near the Bermuda Triangle. Everything seemed fine with the unidentified schooner drifting just north of the Sargasso Sea. Sargasso Sea? That's cool. But the missing crew, Captain Baker of the Ellen Austin, asked to observe the derelict for 2 days in order to make sure it's not a trap. After 2 days with no response from the ship, the captain entered the abandoned vessel with his crew to find the well-packed shipment and no sign of the crew. In order to tow back with Ellen Austin, the captain placed a prize crew on the ship, set to sail together. However, after 2 days of sail on calm waters, a squall separated path of the two ships, following which the derelict vanished. Sorry, this sentence is just really weirdly worded. Days after the storm, according to the stories, Captain Baker's lookout could spot the vessel through his spyglass, only to realize the vessel drifting far away aimlessly once again. After hours of effort, Ellen Austin could catch up to the vessel, but strangely no one was on board. However, another version of the story suggests a second attempt by Baker to bring her back to land, but ended up with the same fate before Ellen Austin before abandoning the cursed vessel. Jesus Christ, whoever wrote this is a fucking idiot. They put before Ellen Austin before. Anyway, other reports suggest that the derelict was once more spotted, but this time had a separate crew that the prize crew placed on it by Ellen Austin. by Ellen. Jesus Christ. See, they're mixing up shit. So Ellen Austin is the name of the ship, but then the prize crew placed on it by Ellen Austin. So they don't fucking know what they're talking about. The disappearance of the ship, her reappearance in the absence of the prize crew, is an intriguing story. It is more like a secret of the Bermuda Triangle, one that has seemingly no chances of being unraveled anytime soon. Why'd you have to give me the part that no one knows how to fucking write? So, okay, for those of you who couldn't follow this shit, because I barely could, this dude found a ship. This dude found a ship, and then he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna make sure that no one's on the ship." So he waited a couple of days. Then he boarded. No one was on it, and then he put some of his crew on there to watch over it. And then when he came back to the ship again, that crew was gone as well.
Yeah,
that's basically what happened.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. Like that one, I don't know how. I mean, the only thing that they say is that the two ships, when they were sailing back, got separated by a squall, which is just like a storm. And even till today, like ships go missing and stuff like that, and people go missing due to storms in the ocean. Storms in the ocean are nothing like the storms here.
Yeah,
and waves can just sweep people off the ship, and they're gone forever. They're just lost to the sea. So it's not too uncommon to think that happened. And again, this is in 1881. If that did happen, there's no way they're going to know. Of course, they're going to jump to conclusions like, oh, it's a mystery. They disappeared. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would really like to enjoy the idea of a conspiracy theory being the, the reason for this, but it's just, a lot of these, it sounds like something just nature bound happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, sailing around is pretty precarious profession, so.
Well, from what I heard too, is like not only like it's North Atlantic, it's a fucking huge body of water. It's at least fucking 7 giraffes big. But sorry,
it's never going away. It's going to be throughout the whole show.
Giraffes on Tipplers 2 cents is a fucking whole ass unit of measurement. Jesus Christ. I forgot what my fucking point even was to make myself laugh. Okay, so North Atlantic, big ass body of water, 7 giraffes, and the thing that I noticed is like in this area, from what I heard anyway, this might be bullshit, but like there's also a lot of water spouts, which is basically like water tornadoes, which is fucking. But if you ever get a chance, look up water spout on like YouTube or something, because holy shit, like I don't know why that's even more like terrifying than normal tornadoes, but fucking water spouts are crazy. And just one of those things, like I think that area is pretty fucking notorious for having water spouts, and it's a big body of water, so if a storm comes through, it's gonna fuck everything up. It's off the coast of Florida, so it's big hurricane fucking area.
Well, yeah, I mean, Florida, Cuba, and Puerto Rico, I think, are all like prime hurricane spots. So, I mean, this is still, a good thousands of miles apart. But you got to imagine that the hurricanes out there on the ocean are probably even worse than the ones that hit land.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know. That one's fucking weird, just because I don't get how the fuck you can lose 2 crews so close together. Like, because what did it say? This dude fucking writes like a jackass, but I'm pretty sure 2 days sail on calm waters. So yeah, it was 2 days, and that other crew disappeared too on calm waters. So that is kind of weird that the other crew disappeared with allegedly calm waters, but. I don't know. Outside of that,
who knows?
Let's get into a little bit more stories.
Yeah, so the next one here, on December 22nd, 1967, so a little bit more recent, a cabin cruiser named Witchcraft left from Miami with her captain, Dan Burak, and his friend, Father Patrick Horgan. Sorry.
Friend Father.
His friend Father. But yeah, Father being like the title, priest. Father Patrick Horgan. The 2 gentlemen's journey on the 23-foot luxury yacht was to enjoy the wonderful view of Miami's Christmas lights. However, after reaching just 1 mile from offshore, the Coast Guard received a call from the captain stating that his ship had hit something, but there was no substantial damage. Indicating help to be towed to the shore, the Coast Guard set off immediately, reaching Witchcraft in as many as 19 minutes alone, but to nothing. The area indicating the location of the ship was completely deserted, with no signs of any ship having been stranded or even present there previously. What's more intriguing about this story is that the particular cruiser was virtually unsinkable, not to mention that numerous life-saving devices present on board, including life jackets, lifeboats, flares, distress signal devices, etc., none of them were used and the ship was gone. The Coast Guard officials searched hundreds of square miles of ocean over the next few days, but were unsuccessful. Nothing of the ship has been found until this day. To this day. The ship is gone, and what remains is the only speculation that can be done now. So that one is weird. I don't know. It could have been a prank, though, too.
Imagine pranking the Coast Guard.
Yeah, I mean, it has their names and stuff in here, so I don't know if these two people are still currently, like, registered as missing. But well, I mean, like, how do they... I don't know. There's a lot of questions that the story brings.
So wait, the two gentlemen's journey on a 23 luxury foot yacht. However... Okay, so from what it seemed like, they probably thought they were in trouble, sent out a distress signal, or received a call from a captain stating the ship had hit something. So they probably just scraped something and then were like, oh, well, we're good, and then fucked off.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been it, too. Like, yeah, maybe they just hit something and were like, you know what, we're good, we're just going to take off. Like, you know, this shit happens all the time. Like, people even get in car accidents and they're like, it's not that bad. I'm just going to, you know, mosey on out of here.
Yeah, but, because, I mean, no one's going to look for these people on land if they put out a fucking signal or a call at sea. They're just going to look for them there. They're not going to fucking be like, so where does this dude live? Like, visit his house.
But, I mean, that still brings to question, like, why is the ship still missing? And like I said, if these people are still missing, where did they go? And I know this is, like, a huge stretch, but this happened in Miami, Florida, and that's a pretty notorious area for people to, especially more back in the day. I don't know if so much now, but back in the day, a lot of people would try to transport or just go to Cuba from Florida. And, you know, maybe that's what happened. Maybe they just faked their death type situation. Like, oh, we hit something, we're going down. And then they just fucking booked it off to Cuba, and now they're living a fat, nice life in Cuba.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's a pretty solid way to do it. I mean, fucking scrap the boat once you get to Cuba. Fucking one-way ticket, no way back.
Yeah, like I said, I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but this is back in 1967. I feel like that's a little more typical for something of that time. Miami, Florida.
I might be remembering this wrong, but I feel like people were going to Cuba pretty frequently. I forgot why. I might have the timing wrong on this, but didn't people try to, like, go to Cuba if they were, like, trying to join the Communist Party and shit at the time? 67?
I don't know. Because I know there's that whole embargo thing, but I can't remember if that's 80s or if it was 60s.
Well, I mean, the Cold War lasted for, what, like the 40s to the 80s-ish?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, that could be it if they knew that there was, like, a heavy communist, you know, occupation in Cuba. I mean, that's me stretching and also half remembering shit, so I might be wrong about that. But yeah, anyway, on to another one. In December 1945, 5 Navy bombers carrying 14 men took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Fort Lauderdale, Florida airfield. This dude, I swear to God, whoever the fuck wrote this, I will find you and I'm going to kick your fucking ass. He put Fort Lauderdale, Florida, airfield in order to conduct practice. So it's supposed to be Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That's it. Airfield, then comma. So he doesn't know how to fucking write this shit. Fuck you for whoever wrote this. All right. Fort Lauderdale, Florida airfield in order to conduct practice bombing runs over some nearby shoals. But with his compasses apparently malfunctioning, the leader of the mission, known as Flight 19, got severely lost. All 5 planes flew aimlessly until they ran low on fuel and were forced to ditch at sea. That same day, a rescue plane and its 13-man crew also disappeared. After a massive weeks-long search failed to turn up any evidence, the official Navy report declared that it was as if they had flown to Mars. By the time author Vincent Gaddis coined the phrase Bermuda Triangle in a 1964 magazine article, additional mysterious accidents had occurred in the area. Excuse me, including 3 passenger planes that went down despite having just sent all's well messages, so basically saying that they were okay. Charles Berlitz, whose grandfather founded the Berlitz Language School, stuck the legend even further in 1974 with the sensational bestseller About the Legend. Since then, scores of fellow paranormal writers have blamed the triangle's supposed lethalness on everything from aliens, Atlantis, and sea monsters to time warps and reverse gravity fields. Whereas more scientifically minded theorists have pointed to magnetic anomalies, waterspouts, or huge eruptions of methane gas from the ocean floor. Yeah, I'm going to listen to the fucking... I hate people. In all probability, however, there is no single theory that actually solves the mystery. I will give them that. None of these actually fucking point to any real solution. As one skeptic puts it, trying to find a common cause for every Bermuda Triangle disappearance is no more logical than trying to find a common cause for every automobile accident in Arizona.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
I was just in one, and I still don't know why we were in a car crash. So,
like, what the fuck? That hit me in the fucking heart, because Arizona, like, we have the dumbest fucking accidents on the planet.
Yeah. Because
nobody knows how to fucking merge. Nobody knows how dude. Nobody knows how to use a fucking 4-way stop here.
Yeah,
like, at all.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, moreover, although storms, reefs, and the Gulf Stream can cause navigational challenges there, maritime insurance leader Lloyd's of London does not recognize the Bermuda Triangle as an especially hazardous place, and neither does the U.S. Coast Guard, which says, quote, in a review of many aircraft and vessel losses in the area over the years, there has been nothing discovered that would indicate that casualties were the result of anything more other than physical causes. No extraordinary factors have ever been identified. So, essentially, they're saying, like, like that's it. They're just like, I don't know.
Yeah, they're basically saying they don't think anything otherworldly is going on, that it's just probably, people fucking up, making human error. Human error is, like, the number one reason for human deaths, I would say.
For, like, the speculative nature of the Bermuda Triangle, like, almost everyone's like, someone fucked up. Like, that's pretty much it.
But, I mean, just in general, like, people dying, I think more people die probably from accidents and human-related injuries and stuff like that than people do of, like, natural death. Basically the conclusion that the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Coast Guard, they just basically said that, there's no supernatural explanations for what's going on. And then I have written here, their experience suggests that the combined forces of nature and human fallibility outdo even the most incredulous science fiction. They add that no official maps exist that delineate the boundaries of the Bermuda Triangle. The U.S. Board of Geographic Names does not recognize the Bermuda Triangle as an official name and does not maintain an official file on the area. So yeah, they're basically not even recognizing it as being called the Bermuda Triangle.
That's just a excuse me. So it's more just a really popular unofficial name.
Yeah, but another thing here is too that it says there's no evidence that mysterious disappearances occur with any greater frequency in the Bermuda Triangle than in any other large, well-traveled area of the ocean. And which I did. I was trying to do research on finding out like how many people go missing or die there or whatever, and I couldn't really find anything that suggested it was more than like how this said, any more than other well-traveled areas of the ocean. So I think just the fact of like the circumstances in which these people went missing is what drew such attention to it. But in all honesty, I mean, just after doing just a little bit of research on it, you kind of come across it and you're like, it's really not that crazy of a place. Like I said, it's just more of the circumstances of which people went missing, where it just kind of probably made people think it was more interesting than it really is.
Well, that's not why we're fucking here, bro. So let's hear all the crazy shit, all right?
Yeah.
So let's discuss just a couple of possible factors that might include why the fuck this area is so crazy. And these are so fucking. I'm trying to get in the mode of being like, yeah, let's talk about how crazy this is, bro. But I'm like, this is so fucking dumb. But okay, so a large speculation is rifts in time, so like temporal displacement and shit like that. Well, on that note, okay, so like Chris said before, in that area of the ocean, just in real life, it doesn't have any more likeliness to have ship crashes, plane crashes, and stuff in that area any more than any other area of the ocean. So if temporal displacement is real, theoretically, it shouldn't happen any more or less in the Bermuda Triangle than it does anywhere else on Earth.
Yeah.
So I guess to humor it, it could happen, but I don't think that would happen specifically there, or at least I don't know any special reason that would make the Bermuda Triangle do that.
Yeah.
What about purple cyclones? Have you ever heard of this shit?
No, I was actually going to ask you what the hell that is.
Okay, so it's supposed to be like a water spout, but it's purple. And this is just from my memory, so sorry, listeners. This isn't verbatim from a fucking story or anything like that, but it was essentially a story that a dude was a pilot, and he was flying through the Bermuda Triangle, and purple cyclones started cycling him, and then he fucking flew into it, and then when he came back, he either said that he was gone for 3 days or some shit, like they were flying through for 3 days, like they had the fucking fuel for that, or some crazy shit. But essentially, he's saying that like it's another form of like temporal displacement or something like that. And when he came back, he wrote a book on it. Even if I did remember his name, I probably wouldn't say it because fuck that guy for lying like a piece of shit.
Was this back in was this pretty long ago?
I feel like it was in the 60s or 70s, but I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I know
there was this like phenomena back in the day, and I think especially around like the World War II era, like of 1940s and stuff like that, of a lot of pilots experiencing like weird delusions and stuff like that, and especially when you've been flying for a while. This tends to happen, and like I said, especially during World War II times, because PTSD stuff like that comes into play.
It's also called altitude sickness.
Yeah, and altitude sickness is a thing as well. But I mean, even back then too, you had to take into account things of like we were talking with like their technology for the time was much more outdated than it is today, and like they were probably getting fume intake from the airplane's engine and shit like that being trapped inside their cockpits or just
no
proper back at them.
No proper air circulation, all that fucking shit.
Yeah, so if you're taking into account, these guys probably suffering from some sort of PTSD or some sort of war-related stress, altitude sickness. It could be some toxic gas ingestion. There's all sorts of things that can make them see all these crazy things, like purple cyclones. Really? You sure you weren't just high off your balls? Are you sure you weren't just going crazy?
Yeah. Another one this is so fucking stupid. But another one, they blame Atlantis. I swear to fucking God.
I don't know. I don't know how I can support that one. That one's a little too out there.
So the theory is that all these disappearances and shit are because of ancient Atlantean technology that's underneath the sea, and it's just firing randomly or causing temporal displacement, causing fucking water spouts like they don't happen already fucking naturally. You fucking idiots. Jesus Christ. I hate people so fucking much. God
no,
damn
bro,
it.
It came from Atlantis. That's why. These fucking water spouts are so crazy because there's Atlanteans under the water shooting them up. They shoot them out of their buttholes.
Like I know that like these theories aren't really, recent. These theories are actually pretty old. But please, guys, stop being dumb.
Oh, for a fact there's still people who think it's Atlantis.
There's people that listen to this show that still fucking believe in conspiracies after we wholeheartedly, I'm not, that's fine. If you like our show, that's cool. But like I don't understand how you can listen to two guys for, the primary way that we're like, yeah, you're dumb. And then they're just like, yeah, but it's fun.
No, I do like a lot of conspiracy theories, but it's just the more, if you start digging into them and doing research, more than half the time you're going to end up debunking a lot of this stuff. And that's the thing with this show, is that's kind of what we're not, setting out to debunk conspiracy theories, but we're just giving you what we find about them, and half the time it just ends up explaining it, and you're like, oh, okay, well, this isn't that weird.
Yeah, just Atlantis as an example. We already covered this in our episode 4, I believe. I can't remember. Yeah. It was our ocean episode. So Atlantis was written by I almost said Allegory of the Cave. That's not even right. It was written in a book from Plato, and it's primarily fictional. And people just took Atlantis out of context, thinking that he was referencing a real city that was actually punished by the gods and shit like that. Which back then, if you write a book that's primarily fictional, but it's in such a way that almost everybody believes in, their pantheon of gods and all that shit, a lot of people are going to take it literally, and for some reason that extended to fucking now, hundreds of years later, and people now think that lizard people live in Atlantis and they control our every move. You fucking idiots. So Atlantis, no, it was just written by Plato. It's not a real place. It was more of a fucking story to teach you a lesson. And I can go into that anymore, but I'm not going to, because I don't want to piss you guys off.
Yeah, I was like, I already know where that's going. Anyway, guys, I think this is a good spot for me to give you today's a Tippler's Tidbit. Tippler's Tidbit. Today's Tippler's Tidbit is brought to you by us, because we don't have sponsors. So if you're out there and you're listening to the show and you're like, damn, I'd really love to sponsor these guys, do it. Anyway,
please.
Today's Tippler's Tidbit is, while IPA stands for India Pale Ale, India was not the country that created it. However, it has a lot to do with it. During their efforts to colonize India, the British made several failed attempts to send beer to their troops overseas. Extreme temperatures and lack of refrigeration caused spoilage every single time. Quote, according to legend, it was George Hodgson, of East London's Bow Brewery, who eventually created the first IPA. It was bitter and highly alcoholic, but it could make the long ocean trip. This first IPA was known as October Ale. Pretty interesting little stuff. There's actually a lot more I'd like to say about that, but it's a tidbit, so I'm only going to give you a little bit of it. Anyway, guys, that was your Tippler's Tidbit. Tippler's Tidbit.
That was actually really cool. I didn't know that IPAs are basically made just to last all the way over to another area.
Yeah, that's what I said. Once I looked that up, I was like, fuck, I kind of want to look more into this. So I don't know, and I actually think we might do an episode where we end up talking about some alcohol related stuff, because some of that shit gets a little more interesting than you think it would.
Oh, dude, I was, I don't want to spoil anything. I'll tell you after the show, but yeah, I have an idea for another episode that I find really fucking fascinating. That kind of is pretty close to that. So anyway, let's move on with the rest of the show to our next topic.
Yeah, and that next topic is going to be Skinwalker Ranch. So, Skinwalker Ranch, for those of you that don't know, is also known as Sherman Ranch. It's a ranch, basically, or a property located approximately 512 acres northeast of Ballard, Utah. That's reputed to be the site of paranormal and UFO-related activities. Its name is taken from the Skinwalker cryptid of Navajo legend concerning vengeful shaman. And, skinwalkers are really super interesting creatures, and, if you live in Arizona like we do, you've heard about skinwalkers probably a million times, especially, going to Globe. All those stories there are really entertaining for people. I mean, I don't know, I like the idea of skinwalkers. So, skinwalkers are basically these people that I think perform some sort of, dark, ritual that turns them into one, or you get attacked by one and you become one, or something like that. Basically, they can turn into creatures. Most of the time, it's like a wolf or a wolf man type thing. So almost like a werewolf a little bit. And yeah, basically they'll hunt down people, try to kill them. Usually in some sort of magical or mystical way. And I think there's also defining features of people when they're in their human form. that can be used to identify a skinwalker. Like, I know they're supposed to act very animalistic, like growl at people, and I think in even some iterations, skinwalker people have antlers. But I think that's
No,
more of a...
no, that's a Wendigo.
No, I know. The Wendigo, the line between a Wendigo and a skinwalker blur very quickly if you start looking at the stories. But,
Well, Wendigo is supposed to be someone who ate another person, I thought.
Yeah, we're gonna go into that in an episode, a future episode. So I don't want to get too far into the Wendigo stuff.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, anyway, like I said, a skinwalker and a Wendigo are a little bit similar, but there's some key differences there. But anyway, Skinwalker Ranch is noted for paranormal and UFO stuff. There's been UFO reports in the Uinta Basin that were publicized during the 1970s. Claims about the ranch first appeared in 1996 in the Salt Lake City, Utah Deseret News, and later in the alternative weekly Las Vegas. Oh, man, I cannot talk right now. Fucking alcohol's hitting.
Lost Legolas.
The Lost Legolas. The Las Vegas Mercury as a series of articles by investigative journalist George Knapp. These early stories detailed the claims of a family that allegedly experienced inexplicable and frightening events after they purchased and occupied the property. The ranch, located in West Uinta County, bordering the Ute, I'm not sure how to say this, but Ute, I think it might be Ute. The Ute Indian Reservation was popularly dubbed the UFO Ranch due to its ostensible 50-year history of odd events said to be taking place there. According to Keller and Knapp, According to Keller and Knapp, they saw or investigated evidence of close to 100 incidents that include vanishing and mutilated cattle, sightings of unidentified flying objects or orbs, large animals with piercing red eyes that they say were unscathed when struck by bullets, and invisible objects emitting destructive magnetic fields. We're going to go into some of those stories a little bit. Among those involved were retired U.S. Army Colonel John B. Alexander, characterized by the NIDSCI, I don't know what the hell that means, effort as an attempt to get hard data using a standard scientific approach. So people did try to investigate this in like normal terms, so I will just give them that. However, the investigators admitted to difficulty obtaining evidence consistent with scientific publication. So what that tells me is they did take a good, unbiased attempt to try to get some real scientific evidence about this stuff, but some of what they found was unexplainable. And I do like that, because like I said, I am intrigued by stuff that can't be explained. And there is a lot of stuff in here that can't be explained, but there's also a lot of stuff where I'm like, that's probably bullshit. Cattle mutilations have been a part of the folklore or the surrounding area for decades. When I can't say that. Nidsai? Yeah, I'll just call it Nidsai. When the Nidsai
I have no teeth. You don't have an excuse.
When Nidsai founder billionaire Robert Bigelow purchased the ranch for $200,000, this was reportedly the result of being convinced by the stories of mutilations that included tales of strange lights and unusual impressions made in the grass and soil by the family of former ranch owner Terry Sherman. Yeah, and this fucking guy, he makes a whole mess of claims. In 1996, skeptic James Randi awarded Bigelow a Pegasus Award for funding the purchase of the ranch and for supporting Harvard University's Professor John Max and author Bud Hopkins' investigations. Randi called for the effort of a useless study of supernatural, paranormal, or occult. Ugh, that was hard to say.
Imagine if we did a whole episode where every time we fuck up, we have to take a shot. Dude.
I mean, yeah, I would get fucked up quick. In 2016, Bigelow sold... See? Right there. Boom. Just fucking... Dupe. In 2016, Bigelow sold Skinwalker Ranch for $4.5 million to Adamantium Holdings, a shell corporation of unknown origin.
You know, fuck it. Let's just do it right now.
Yeah.
Just with our beer.
After this purchase, all the roads leading to the ranch have been blocked, the perimeter secured and guarded by cameras and barbed wire, and surrounded by signs that aim to prevent people from approaching the ranch. In 2017, the name Skinwalker Ranch was filed for trademark through Justia Trademarks. The trademark was issued in 2018. Just recently, in March 2020, Brandon Fugel, 46 years old, a Utah real estate tycoon, publicly came out as the owner of the ranch. And apparently, it isn't just Skinwalker Ranch, unfortunately. Local filmmaker Trent Harris is quoted as saying, you can't throw a rock in southern Utah without hitting somebody who's been abducted. So basically what they're saying is everybody in Utah fucking makes these claims. It's not just Skinwalker Ranch. That's the hot spot for all these claims. So all you people up in Utah are fucking nuts. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I've never been to Utah, so who knows?
I know, it's surprising that we haven't been to Utah. We're just on the corner of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we share a corner with it?
Yeah, because that's one of the four corners
at all.
around here. It's Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and...
Colorado?
Yeah, maybe, no, because Colorado... I don't know. I'm bad at geography.
I don't know. Okay, so...
I got 3 of those right. I don't know. The 4th one, fuck them.
I like how you instantly just know how to read after I'm like...
Yeah, it's like once you put some pressure on me, I'm like, zone in, Chris. This is your time. The Uinta Basin of eastern Utah has been such a hotbed of paranormal sightings over the years that some extraterrestrial enthusiasts have deemed it UFO Alley. The sightings and claims for the area are so unique, like the Shermans claiming to see mysterious large animals, which I'm going to get into that in a minute because I have a more detailed story than what this one has here, so I want to skip over that. Okay. But one of the stories for the Shermans, because like I said, I have 2 other ones about them that I want to get into, but this one I don't have, I don't think. On the night of March 12th, 1997, after the ranch had been sold off, biochemist Colm Keller, working for Bigelow's National Institute for Discovery of Science, claimed to see a large humanoid creature spying on the research team from a tree. And yeah, this is a claim that's been substantiated by the several owners that have had the ranch. So yeah, the earliest people that I think lived there that I could find were some group of people called the Locks, and then after that it was the Myers, and then it was the Shermans, and then it was that guy that just came out this year saying he owned it. What's his face?
The Adamantium Properties or whatever.
Yeah, that guy. I don't know. We said his name earlier. Brandon Fugel. There you go. But yeah, and then just one of the interesting notes about this place too was the Myers, one of the people that I said formerly owned the place. When they purchased the ranch in 1994, the property came with a clause that stated there was no digging on the property ground without prior consent from the previous owners, which is very weird. Like, why would they not want them to dig on the property? Like, for me, if I bought a house and somebody was like, hey, you can't dig in the yard unless you ask, they'd be like, fuck are you telling me? Are you like, is this some frailty shit? Are you hiding bodies in the fucking rose garden?
That's such a dumb fucking, like, like, imagine if you bought a house, you done and paid for, and then the previous owner that doesn't own the fucking house anymore is like, hey, you better fucking ask before you dig in my yard. I'd be like, dude, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out. What the fuck do you have back there?
I know, that's what I mean. Like, what a weird fucking thing. But even weirder was also inside the house, the windows were bolted shut, and all the doors had large deadbolts that, basically keep anything from coming inside.
Yeah, if anybody's been to a hotel, you know what a deadbolt is.
Yeah, deadbolt, fucking, you turn the little thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But there, including in all this weird shit, there were these heavy posts dug into the ground outside that were used to chain up large guard dogs. So, like, I don't know. This place sounds like fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre house.
Right. Yeah, it kind of seems like I want to jump to the conclusion and be like, this dude definitely just fucking, or the previous owners just definitely fucking killed people.
Yeah. That's what this sounds like to me. Like, whoever that Locke family was, sound funny. Sound a little sketch.
Yeah, to be fair, like, it's not as if, I mean, well, fuck, can you do that? I might not know the law as well as because I know if someone trespasses on your property, like, you can definitely fucking shoot them, but, like, if you kill them, like, do you have to call the cops and be like, well, I mean, I guess, yeah. I don't know why I'm making this
Yeah, I
assumption that
mean,
you
like,
just
yeah,
be
you
like,
can't just get away with murder. Like, well, they were in your house, so.
yeah,
Like, yeah, he
fucking eat
came
'em.
up,
Who
knocked
cares
on the
shit?
door, I fucking shot him, I ate his dick, like, whatever.
But I mean, like, would it be illegal for you to fuck with the body, like, after you kill him? I guess so, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you'd still have to report it, and they'd have to take all the pictures.
Well,
and
no,
stuff.
sorry, I don't mean like cut off their dick and eat it. I mean like if you were to shoot them, like, could you move their body after you shot them to like not like just to be like, all right, so he doesn't rot in a fucking field, like move him to another area? Like, would the cops like think that was suspect? I guess they would.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't want you to move it at all.
I mean,
Still,
you get
yeah,
shot.
like,
You get shot in my house. I'm sorry, you're my fucking property now.
like, hey, it's my dead body now, all right?
Same rules for if you like snare a rabbit. Just fucking. That went morbid real fucking quickly.
Yeah, but one of those stories, like we said, this Terry Sherman guy, one of the guys who owned the ranch, he had a lot to say about this place. He was the dad of the family that owned the ranch after the Myers family, so the ones that moved in and discovered all this weird shit. But yeah, he basically had a lot to say about this place as far as like the paranormal and extraterrestrial encounters. So we're gonna read you two of his stories. So the first one here, Terry Sherman, a former owner of the ranch, claimed that one day he and his family encountered a wolf that was roughly 3 times the size of a normal wolf, which appeared calm and unfazed by their presence. Abnormal behavior for regular wolves, if any of you know how a wolf's supposed to behave. The wolf was so calm that Terry was able to walk up to it and pet it. His children even knocked around the idea of keeping it as a pet because it was so tame. That is, until the wolf wandered into the livestock pen and began attacking an unsuspecting calf whose head was peering in between the enclosure. The wolf clamped his jaws down on the calf's head and tried to pull it from the gap. Terry and his son started after the wolf in an attempt to stop its assault on the young calf. Terry began punching the creature in the ribs, but to no effect. After realizing his punches were not doing anything to the wolf, he grabbed a nearby baseball bat and began to strike the creature with the bat. Still, the strikes from the baseball bat had no effect. Terry now called to his son to bring him his large caliber pistol, a .357 Magnum, which for any of you that know is a really big ass fucking handgun.
Yeah.
Once Terry had the firearm, he shot at the creature 3 times, which again, to his disbelief, had no effect. He also had stated that the bullet wounds didn't seem to produce any sort of blood or remain as a bullet wound, so I just wanted to throw that in there. It wasn't until the 4th shot, which he had to fire from point-blank range, that the wolf finally let the small calf go and walked off. Walked, casually, as if nothing happened. Terry then went and grabbed his hunting rifle and fired at the wolf again, this time aiming for the heart. It was a direct hit, and the bullet fired directly through the wolf's body, leaving a sizable wound and exit wound. So much so, in fact, that blood sprayed everywhere and a large chunk of flesh fell off of the beast. Later on, they went and analyzed this piece of flesh that they found, not scientifically or anything, just looking at it, but they said it reeked, smelled like horrible decayed flesh, but it also smelled like that of a fox, which is kind of strange because it's from a wolf. Surprisingly, after this shot, the wolf still seemed to be unfazed, only flinching for a brief moment, then continued walking off into the woods. Terry and his son took off after the beast in an attempt to finally put the creature down. Terry claims he and his son, who are seasoned hunters and trackers, tracked the creature for over 1 mile before losing its tracks inexplicably, almost as if the creature had suddenly vanished into thin air.
Okay, so first off, before I even get analytical about this shit, whose job is it to separate the smell from wolf meat and fox meat?
He's like, this don't smell like fox, kind of smells, or it doesn't smell like wolf, kind of smells like fox. You know, like, they're vaguely different. You'd have to know your fox and wolf smells, okay? You have to be a seasoned hunter like myself to know what fox smells like and to know what wolf smells like.
Such a fucking... Okay.
Like, what is the difference? What the hell is the difference between fox and wolf smell?
I don't.
How does he know? How did you just pick up a piece of flesh? You're like, yeah, that's fox right there. Smells like damn fox. Ain't no wolf. That's part fox.
Like I imagine a fox maybe smells more cinnamony.
Because of their ginger fur.
But no, another thing is like I watch a lot of cops, and if you ever watched a fucking or a K9 unit send a dog after a fucking criminal, those dogs can get fucking shot and beat to shit, and they won't ever let go, ever. Like, ever. So imagine a fucking wolf who's drawn by instinct. By the way, first of all, I think that it's horseshit that he just came up and petted a wolf. Like, who the fuck does that? If I saw wolves are huge as shit, okay? If you actually have the balls to walk up to a fucking wolf, those aren't balls. That's you not having a fucking brain. And second of all, the whole thing like, oh, I shot him with a fucking 357, like, point blank, and he didn't die. Up to the point that he says that, I believed it, because it's like, okay, well, kind of believe it, because, like I said, these dogs, they won't fucking let go. And then saying that he came up with a fucking 357 and shot him point blank, it's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
It's like, no way. It would die right then and there.
And I mean, I guess that's the point he's trying to bring across, is that, like, he should have died. But either way, so many points in the story are just really weird, and I know he did that. He said these intentionally.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that is the point he's trying to make, like, oh, this thing wasn't just a normal wolf, it had to be a fucking skinwalker. But, like, I don't know. Yeah, like you said, I could believe it all the way up until the point of where he petted it. Like, that one, I'm like, okay, you're embellishing. There's no way you pet a wolf.
Like
the size,
there's no fucking way.
Yeah, the size of the wolf can be explained just because simply, like, wolves are much bigger than a dog. And that's how most people think of it. We're like, oh, they probably look like the size of a dog. No, wolves are probably like 2 times bigger to 3 times bigger than a dog, a domesticated dog. And especially an alpha dog or an alpha wolf, they're much bigger than a domesticated animal. They're like vastly bigger. And also, him walking up confidently, if he's an alpha wolf, then he's probably going to be confident because he's a fucking asshole dog. That's like what his drive is to be. He's got to be the big bad honcho. That's why he just strolled in there and was like, I'm taking this fucking food, fight me. And then Terry's thinking like, I'll just punch this big ass wolf. I'll just punch him in the ribs and he'll let go. It's like, dude, he's biting a calf's head trying to get food and you're just punching him. That's basically like tickling him and be like, get off that calf. Let go of my baby cow.
I don't know. It's so fucking dumb. I mean, it's the same thing, like, people try to compare elk and moose like they're the same fucking thing. Look up the difference between an elk and a moose. Like, seriously, I don't think people understand how fucking huge some of these animals get. Yeah. Because you, like, especially, well, I mean, like, in Arizona, it's a little bit differently. Most of the animals we see are kind of, like, slinky and, like, because they don't have a lot of cover. So, like, our fucking, we have, like, mountain lions and shit, which are big. Like, they're definitely bigger than a fucking cat, but, like, they're not as big as, like, wolves and shit get. And, like, fucking go to Canada. Like I said, if you fucking compare a moose with an elk, moose are, like, pretty much, like, 3 to 4 feet taller than a fucking SUV. Yeah. They're huge. And people just don't understand, like, how fucking big these things can get. So when he says that it's big, that doesn't really surprise me. And I know that was the point you're trying to get across. Yeah. Is that it's same with, like, it's not...
Same with mountain goats, too. Like, I know that doesn't sound like that strange of one, but mountain goats are gigantic, too. Like, people don't realize they're like this. Yeah, they're like the size of a fucking SUV or a car. I'm like, I don't know why they, like, yeah, it just, some of that shit doesn't register with the brain. I mean, a wolf is not nearly as big as that, but they're pretty big. They're a lot bigger than most people think they are.
Fuck. Anyway, so another one from this dumb shit family, the Sherman family, comes another bizarre claim that ended up being the final straw and convinced the family to sell the ranch. I say that bankruptcy probably convinced them, actually, but, fuck it. The Shermans claimed that many times they had encountered these weird blue orbs that would float around the property and antagonize them and their pets, because blue orbs, I don't know if you guys knew this, but fuck, I get blue orbs all around my house, dude. They're just a pain in the ass. I mean, like, I've tried so many, like, fly traps and sprays. They just don't go away.
Yeah, I mean, like, they sell those sprays at Home Depot, Ace Hardware. You can get them at any local store. Blue orb spray. You just spray them. Blue orbs go away. Like, why didn't you guys do that, Sherman family?
Yeah, and I mean, like, you can always hire a witch doctor, but like witch doctors are a little bit on the more expensive side. So like, I'm not in the budget to get
Yeah,
that, but
and then you risk them being a skinwalker themselves.
exactly. No, of course they're fucking lying about a goddamn blue orb. There was no fucking blue orbs. Jesus Christ! Especially how they describe them. They describe them as glass, like like while appearing to be filled with some sort of blue liquid. The fuck? I could have just imagined a blue orb like normally, but they had to be like, yeah. Have you ever seen like a glass filled with like Powerade? Okay, so one day while Terry was outside with his 3 dogs that were normal size, he saw an orange-like object off in the distance. It looked like some sort of portal, and Terry saw one of these blue orbs fly out of it. He and his dogs became bothered really by this, and Terry decided to let his dogs chase after the orb. They followed the orb off into the woods, barking and snapping at the orb as it led them deeper and deeper into the woods. Eventually, Terry lost sight of them, but knew that he could count on his dogs to eventually return to him. That is until he heard a blood-curdling howls coming from the depths of the woods, howls that were most assuredly coming from his dogs. Terry feared the worst for his dogs, but since it was getting late, he was like, fuck it. I'm just going to wait till morning to go search for him. The next morning, after heading out into the woods in search of his beloved companions, Terry finally found his canine friends. Unfortunately, something else had clearly found them first. While Terry saw what compelled them to sell the ranch and leave it behind forever, in a grass-field clearing of the woods, Terry came across 3 black spots. I gotta take a drink. I fucking fucked up. In a grass field clearing of the woods, Terry came across 3 black spots scorched into the grass. Within those black spots were what appeared to be lifeless bodies of his dogs. However, their corpses were mutilated beyond recognition in a fashion that made Terry think it was otherworldly. The corpses of the dogs appeared to be, as Terry described it, butterized, which
is a very odd turn of phrase, but whatever.
These Powerade bottles turn my fucking dogs into butter. All that was left were slimy and gelatinous black blobs that reeked of burnt flesh. The Sherman family left shortly after this horrible and mysterious event. And by horrible and mysterious, they mean fake and made up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, this was no fucking... Like, okay, so he just saw a portal open, and he's all like, God damn it, it's just one of those fucking portals letting loose Powerade.
Dude, and that's the thing, too, is I didn't include this, but that orange portal that he saw, it originally in the story says, like, he wasn't bothered by this because he sees these orange portals open up all the time. And he just assumes that, like, it's just an ordinary thing now. He's just like, it's one of those orange portals, just letting the blue orbs fly out again, whatever. Fuck it, normal Sunday.
It's so fucking dumb, dude. Like I kind of understand it. Like when I hear paranormal stories about like haunted houses and shit, and I guess I can understand it to a point. Because if you're just like, oh, my light turns on every now and again, that's just Jeff the ghost, and like that's just like some people's like way of like rationalizing it. Like, oh, it must be a ghost, not a circuitry problem or anything like that. And I do believe in ghosts and shit, but I mean that's getting off topic. But to get to the point where you're like. Like a fucking portal just opens up in your living room and you're just like, God damn it. Like, are you fucking kidding me? These fucking big old glasses of fucking cherry limeade. It's so fucking stupid. So he just has big old glasses of fuzzy navels fucking floating around his house, and he gets to the point where they're just normal, and then I just like how he fucking described his dead dogs as butterized.
Butterized.
Like that seems like something I would fucking do. Like I could have a dog that I love dearly, but I cover a lot of my traumatizing moments with like humor. So like if I got like fucking the shit beat out of me, I'd be like, oh dude, he just pounded me. Like he might as well have fucking just took my ass right there.
Well, they just butterized the shit out of my dogs.
I don't know. As far as like cryptids go, I mean, like that seemed like, and I use cryptids loosely because there's no official name for what he's seeing. I'm gonna keep calling these. I'm gonna call these glasses of Windex cryptid. That's the blue orbs. So what? How would you even like categorize this as like an animal or like what the fuck?
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like, is it extraterrestrial? Is it paranormal? I mean, is he just delusional? I, like, who knows? I mean, as far as I could find, he's the only one, or not him specifically, but the Sherman family is the only one that claimed to see the orbs. I think there might have been some other people outside of people that own or own the ranch, but they're the only ones that I found about the blue orb stories. Everybody else has just been seeing like UFO related stuff. A lot of people claim to have seen invisible creatures that can fuck with stuff out there. The Skinwalkers, obviously, that's why it's the most, that's why it's called the Skinwalker Ranch, because a lot of people think they've seen Skinwalkers out there.
Yeah, it's always cool whenever you're like, oh yeah, I've seen an invisible monster. Like, oh, that's called an imaginary friend, buddy. I don't know.
Well, you mean you didn't see anything? Well, yes. I didn't see shit.
I kind of saw like a little bit of like what do you call it? I think it's called air.
But it knocked over that rock like a monster would.
It did it quite aggressively is the point I'm trying to get across. Anyway, so the cryptids are, pretty plentiful in this story. It's invisible monsters, UFOs. I mean, UFOs aren't really cryptids, but fucking apparently skinwalkers. I guess the wolf can be considered a skinwalker. But just the stories behind them, especially from Sherman. Sorry, Jesus Christ, I just whistled into the fucking microphone. Especially from the Sherman family. These just seem like oversaturated with details and no actual like panicking behind them. Especially like there's not a lot of like 911 calls or anything to this specific ranch.
Yeah, that's what I find like, weird too.
Yeah, like the first thing I would fucking do would be like, "Hey, government, there's fucking portals on my property," and they'd be like, "Fuck, all right, what property are you at?" I'd be like, "Oh, I'm at this ranch at blah 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 address," and they'll be like, "Oh, god damn it, them fucking portals are open again." All right, hold on. Another thing that we actually didn't mention before, because this is kind of just a generalization. There's crop circles always appearing in the area. Mm-hmm. And not just Skinwalker Ranch. This is a pretty common theme throughout most of southern Utah. Crop circles, I mean, as cool as they sound in the theory, they are also so fucking lame at the end of the day. I'm sorry. But
I like the idea of crop circles, but I mean, just humans can people have replicated these things a million times. So, I mean, and of course there's people like, oh, well, they didn't make them look exactly like the ones that we saw and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, still, I don't buy. Well, why would aliens come down and draw on our fucking grass? That doesn't make any sense to me. They're just like, we're bored, we're waiting to pick up humans, so we're going to draw on the grass if you don't mind a minute. What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Like aliens' fucking version of writing in someone else's notepad in like grade school when you're just like, penis.
It's gonna turn out to be a fucking alien meme like that we don't know of yet. It's just like dick butt, and they're just like, got him.
They're drawing fucking alien to your dick butt. Anyway, so I mean, just to summarize, the claims themselves, I don't think they hold a lot of fucking ground, honestly. And it's said before, like, this isn't just Skinwalker Ranch. Almost everybody in southern Utah is pretty much like, oh yeah, I got fucking abducted. I just don't. I don't like whenever. I guess it's kind of normal because I don't like whenever an area is oversaturated with these stories because that brings less value to the ones that could potentially be true. Yeah, and not to say that Skinwalker Ranch is true or not. There's no way for me to actually say that it's not, but at the same time, I don't think they are. But with all the people that have these claims and shit just in the area surrounding it, it just brings less value to Skinwalker Ranch as a whole, and honestly makes it a lot less interesting to me, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, and like we said earlier too, like experts have gone there, they've done some research on the place, and while there were some things that they couldn't explain, they never came out and explicitly said that, you know, there was otherworldly or paranormal or extraterrestrial stuff going on there. I mean, of course, I know there's people who are like, why would they say that? But I mean, just common sense leads us to believe that if something big was there, they would say something, but they haven't said anything, so we gotta just basically say that there's nothing going on there. It's just people making shit up.
Yep. Anyway, time to move on. We actually couldn't find enough time in this episode. There was enough quality crazy shit with these other areas that happened to fill all these, but I wanted to do a couple. Well, we wanted to do a couple of honorable mentions, and one of those is Chernobyl.
Mm-hmm.
Chernobyl, if you don't know what Chernobyl is, I'm sorry that you don't know how to read a fucking history book, because it was basically just a giant fucking radioactive meltdown from a nuclear power plant, and it fucking melted people's faces off, mutated them, and it is still super fucked up to this day. It's not going to be habitable for quite a while. I think it was like another like 100 years or some shit.
Yeah, it's like pretty akin to like the Japanese bombings from World War II, like Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Nagasaki.
Yeah, it's like on the same kind of disaster level as that. So
yeah, the only reason why we put Chernobyl in this isn't necessarily just from what happened, because that honestly is interesting enough, and it's real world fucking crazy shit that happened. It's also the mutations and like the common knowledge that it brought. Like, holy fuck, radioactive mutation is nothing to fuck around with.
Yeah.
Like, and like it was so fucking bad. And it also, and unfortunately, I hate to say good came out of this situation, but I'm very into video games and movies and stuff. And sorry, but Chernobyl like radioactive mutations on some of these poor motherfuckers brought a lot of inspiration to a lot of models and stuff that even extend to fucking games today. Yeah. And I like, if you like, just bringing up a video game that we brought up before on the show, BioShock. Tell me, if you look up a splicer from BioShock, tell me that there is no fucking like radioactive mutation kind of like inspiration for how a splicer looks, especially in BioShock 2 when these motherfuckers like the spider splicers. Dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy shit.
But no, a good example, and it has to do with like Russian stuff, Metro.
Metro. I didn't even fucking think of Metro.
Yeah, it's more like a nuclear fallout in that game. But I mean, if you take, like, let's just shrink that down and put it into Chernobyl, and like that's basically the game. Like just nuclear winter basically in Russia. And has a lot of
and like
stuff.
that race of the Dark Ones or whatever, those were radioactive humans or some shit that evolved with the radioactive nature of themselves.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just one of those things that is getting really fucking. It's unfortunate that it happened, of course, but it's really cool that it happened to begin with. Not really cool that it happened to begin with, but really cool that it made like inspirations for models and shit. I need to shut the fuck up. I'm gonna piss off a lot of Russian people.
Yeah, they're like, "What the fuck, bro? Isn't that cool that it happened? We're very pissed about Chernobyl."
Another one that is actually pretty local for us in Arizona is the Superstition Mountains. I don't live that far from them. It has the Legend of the Lost Dutchman's gold mine centers around the Superstition Mountains. So apparently we can go treasure hunting, bro.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go. According to legend, a German immigrant named Jacob Waltz discovered a motherlode of gold in the Superstition Wilderness and revealed its location on his deathbed in Phoenix in 1891 to Julia Thomas, a boarding house owner who had taken care of him for many years. Several mines have been claimed to be the actual mine that Waltz discovered, but none of those claims have been verified. The legend and lore of the Superstition Mountains can be experienced at the Superstition Mountain Museum on the Apache Trail, where artifacts of the Lost Dutchman are on display. Some Apaches believe that the hole leading down into the lower world, or hell, is located in the Superstition Mountains. Which, I'm sorry, I love all of like Apache's I almost said lore. I'm such a fucking nerd. All their like heritage and shit. Like,
Yeah.
but this is just. I swear to God, and I have Native friends. I swear to God will back me up on this. This is just Apaches fucking with white people. Like I swear to fucking God, this is just be like, oh yes, there is hell in that hole right there. Are you fucking serious?
And
right
they're
now?
like, dude,
Yes.
what? Like, fuck. And they're like, oh, yeah, don't go in there. Fucking white people death trap. Don't go in there.
Yeah. And winds blowing from the hole are supposed to be the cause of severe dust storms in the metropolitan region. So they're basically explaining that air that comes out of the shafts are explanations for dust storms or haboobs, which we call them in Phoenix.
Yeah.
That go through the city, which is such fucking horseshit. It's just fucking residue or heavy winds from the desert, and it's just hitting us. Like, because if you go to Phoenix, like it is a big city, but there's a lot of desert around us. So yeah, there's no fucking way that would just like a mountain just like it just coughs. No fucking haboob happens. But yeah, I mean that pretty much wraps up a lot of the crazy places. Another couple honorable mentions of course, like the Paris catacombs and shit. That goes more back to the paranormal episode. Claims there have said that, you know, that's another entrance to hell, which is another shout out to a movie that I did in that same episode, which was As Above, So Below. And fuck, I mean, there are so many places in the world that we can include in this episode, but I think Chernobyl and Superstition Mountains are just gonna cover it for this one. I would love to do an episode on just Chernobyl later on down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure on Chernobyl, I think we'll probably end up coming back to that one because I did want to do a lot more on this, but just running out of time to cover the extensive amount of stuff that it would take to do on that one. And yeah, so moving on, we don't have any Tipplers Take 2 for this one. There really wasn't very many movies or anything that we could really think of that we've seen. And we don't really want to talk about stuff that we haven't seen, so there's really no point in us mentioning any movies or anything that we haven't seen.
I will give
subject.
one. It's just Chernobyl on HBO Max. That's it. That's the only one I can think of, but I even haven't seen that. And I want to. I heard it's really good. But I mean, outside of that, you can pretty much watch any fucking crazy, like paranormal or whatever fucking movie, and I guarantee you, like, especially if it's based at sea, they're gonna mention the Bermuda Triangle. So,
and there is
outside of that,
there is a series on the Skinwalker Ranch too, apparently, but I haven't seen it, so I can't talk about it really. But
yeah, and if you know anything about the History Channel now, like, you know, it's probably gonna be
garbage.
So terribly fucking good.
But yeah, anyway, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the episode here. So today we talked about a whole mess of things like disappearing ships in the sea and skinwalkers and butterized dogs. But yeah, so like I said at the beginning of this episode, going forward, we're going to be doing episodes every 2 weeks, not every week. So we're going to see you guys in 2 weeks for the next episode, which can be changed. So I'm not going to go ahead and give you guys an insight as to what that episode can be right now. And I'm sorry that things are changing a little bit, but, you know, it's just how it is. And also, I forgot to mention that going forward, there might be some episodes where it might just be Sean doing the episode, and it might just be me. We don't want to stress ourselves out giving, too much to do when we got something going on during recording. So be prepared for that as well. But the episode quality should stay the same, should be just as good, and if anything, should get a little bit better now that we'll have more time to work on these. So hopefully you guys will stand by us in that decision, and we can still keep pumping out quality content for you guys. But anyway, we'll see you guys on the very next episode of Tipplers 2 Cents. Thank you guys for joining us for this one. If you guys would like to hear more from us, you can follow us on our Instagram page, Tipplers 2 Cents, Facebook, Tipplers 2 Cents. You guys can email us if you guys want to talk to us at tipplers2centspodcast@gmail.com. And Sean, do you have anything you want to say?
Also, to get some quality fucking merch, bro, you can go to represent.com/tipplers. represent.com/store/tipplers2 cents to get some fucking banger merch. And also, the Save Our Children shirt is still up. And honestly, I don't want to fucking take it down. So please, please, please buy the shirt. Remember that every time you buy a Save Our Children shirt, our portion of the proceeds goes to the Child Rescue Coalition. And it's still not fucking going away. I don't want to take it down, but I mean, I will if no one's going to be buying it, because then it's just a waste of space. But I don't want it to be a fucking waste of space. I need people to buy it. Once I get some money, because we're broke, once I get some money, I want to fucking buy one for me and Chris, and honestly start repping our merch a little bit more around town. And outside of that, fucking just stay awesome, and make sure to check out our new episode, which will be on Monday the 21st of September. That's going to be our next episode after this one.
Hey, that's your birthday.
Oh, what? That's my birthday?
That is your birthday.
Holy shit. So yeah, I guess the next episode of this one is gonna be on my birthday, so that's fucking cool. All right, well, fuck. That about wraps it up for today.
We'll catch you on the next episode, guys.
Remember to drink responsibly and think responsibly. Bye.